Good evening, this is Jack from Charting the Markets, and this is the Bigger Picture webinar for Wednesday night, 12th of August. My disclaimer, I do this for educational purposes only. I'm here to share my tactical analysis with you. I hope you can take some of what I'm doing and learn from it, transfer it to your own charts. I'm not here to issue trading signals. I did actually record a webinar this morning, but I only realized right at the end that I hadn't actually shared my screen, so I had to trash it, and so I'm doing this one. All right, obviously we got another day's trading since then. What does this look like on ES? Well, as I was saying in the webinar this morning that didn't make the cut, this looks like a bull flag forming, and it may well be a bull flag triangle, in which case it doesn't need to go any lower. So waiting, I'd like this to break down into a full triangle, get down to the 7700 to 7715 area maybe, but I'm thinking we may just head up into the retest of the all-time high. The sell signal obviously made target on NQ. It made the possible near miss target again. Looks like a bull flag. Might need a lower low, but doesn't necessarily need to. RTY is pretty much at the retest of the prior high already. Now here, it doesn't look as though we've retested this high here because, well, we haven't, but we have actually done that on IWM. Here, we have already retested this latest high, so this is no longer a bull flag. That's actually already headed off to the target. YM has been the weakest and actually is a normal bull flag and can't be a triangle because it's actually at lower lows already. We will see, but again, I'm wondering about a retest of the high. DAX already at new highs, ESTX already at new highs, no divergence on either of those, but I think we did have a sell signal that made target on the DAX chart. Yeah, well, it made the possible near miss target. All right, let's have a look at Nikkei. All right, Nikkei, this has failed. This head and shoulders has failed on this chart, but I haven't marked it up yet because it hasn't failed on the main chart, and let's go to that next. All right, let's have a look at, well, we'll have a look at SO first. SO, I've drawn the line here, and this is where this head and shoulders would fail. So it hasn't failed yet. In fact, I'm wondering if we might be forming an inverted head and shoulders here, in which case we might see a right shoulder pullback here. We will see how that goes. We do have a possible weak 6-minute RSI 14 sell signal, which is fixed here. Sorry, I haven't marked that up. And you can see we're very, very nicely at the possible head and shoulder, and I'm wondering whether we might see a pullback to form a right shoulder. So if we are going to break up, we might see a pullback and then a move up. All right. In terms of ES, I was writing a week ago, slightly over a week ago, that this really needed a few days just to consolidate to allow the daily middle band to turn up and the bands to expand, and we've seen that. We will see. So there is obviously space to go on the upside. In terms of the obvious targets, this is the one on ES that SPX I'd be looking at. I've got that currently at about the 78.10 to 78.15 area. Hourly chart, nothing to see really. 15-minute chart, we had an RSI 14 buy signal fixed this morning and an RSI 5 buy signal, and that RSI 14 one made the possible near miss target, the other one made the full target. All right, looking at the Qs, again, looks like a flag forming, holding the 50 DMA support. Once we do see a retest of the high, we do have a possibility of getting a daily RSI 5 sell signal brewing, and we've got the same possibility on the SPX chart as well. Looking at the 15 minutes hourly chart, nothing to see really. We've got a little RSI 5 sell signal, which, does that fix? I'm not sure. Hang on, wait a second. Nope, I was referring to that one. So that fixed, and I'll just draw the arrow for that. But we don't have any. 60-minute sell signal fixed now. This one already made target. In terms of the 15-minute chart, we had a buy signal there too, and we don't have a sell signal on the way down. Both of those signals here made target. In terms of Dia, Dyer has been weaker than the others, but still nowhere near any sort of really serious area like a back test of the daily middle band. As with all of these, the bands have been turning up. This is opening up space to the upside, although I would say that I've drawn in the obvious resistance trendline target, and I can't help noticing here we had pretty much an exact touch of that last week. I am wondering if we do go back and retest high, whether this might actually be a significant high for me. On the hourly chart, no current divergence really, but you can see where we got slightly over the obvious wedge resistance here. And on the 15-minute chart, there is nothing to see. All right, let's have a look at IWM first. Right, IWM. We had a possible RSI5 sell signal brewing. No, I think we still do actually, but we're pretty close to losing that on the monthly. Looking at the daily chart, we've retested the high. We've now got a possible daily RSI5 sell signal brewing. Hourly chart, nothing to see really. 15-minute chart, we didn't have anything to see already. DAX is up at a new high and slightly breaking through the obvious resistance trend line here. Now, obviously, it can go through it. It can evolve into something else. But that's worth noting for now, and we do have a possible weak RSI5 sell signal brewing. On Nikkei, we got really close to a failure of this head and shoulders. It hasn't quite failed yet, but it does rather look as though it's going to. All right, let's have a look at the other of the three patterns I was writing about next week was the NDX diamond top. That hasn't failed yet, but only because mainly that doesn't have as clear a failure area. All right, in terms of DX, we've got a nice looking double bottom here, and I'll show you why on the daily chart. I think this has got a good chance of making target. Possible level top on USD, GBP USD. Almost retested this high, and I'm wondering whether it might, but I will note that we've broken quite a nice rising support trend line here. USD JPY, this looks an awful lot like a bear flag, and that's probably because it is. This was a bigger government intervention. We've now had a reaction rally. I'm thinking this may well be heading off to retest this low. USD CAD, pretty decent looking falling wedge here, which could be a bull flag. Kind of looks like a bear flag on the Australian dollar. Both of these are getting a bit oversized for it though. NZUSD, that's interesting. It did look as though we were forming a bullish triangle. This might be evolving into a flag, or we might just be breaking down. We do have an IHS which is broken up with a target in the 59.63 area. If this gets down below about the 57.40 area, then the IHS would fail. All right, let's have a look at this on the bigger picture charts. US dollar, I would note that we've now got an RSI5 buy signal which is fixed on the daily chart. So I'm really wondering about this double bottom and whether we might break up and give us a bit of a rally. In terms of the target for that, that would be in about the 100.5 area. Obviously, bigger picture, we've got a nice looking bull flag on US dollar. We've got a nice looking bear flag on USD. We've got a nice looking bear flag on GBP USD. Shorter term, USD is on a weak RSI5 sell signal, so that's matching the buy signal that we've got on the US dollar. GBP USD, we've got a possible RSI5 sell signal brewing. So these are suggesting that the euro and GBP go down and the dollar goes up. USD JPY, bigger picture, I'm wondering if this might separate from the others and then actually start strengthening regardless of what the US dollar does. This is only actually 9% of the dollar index, or 8, 9 I think. We've got a lovely looking double bot top here, but there's something significant is unraveling here at the moment, and that is the Japanese carry trade. For years and years and years and years, the yen has been weakening because interest rates were very low. People were borrowing in yen and then buying higher yielding things in other currencies. And while, of course, the yen was getting weaker, that actually, of course, gave them extra benefits as well. So it was a great trade. But interest rates have gone up. Some funds are being repatriated. If we actually get into the opposite trend, then the trend which was favoring anyone who was holding yen then actually starts punishing anyone who's holding yen, because the yen will get stronger, and that means the debts they need to repay, which are in yen, from whatever currency they have bought, will get more expensive to repay. That is a very, very vicious circle. And we might find that the yen starts strengthening rapidly if that really gets going, because the carry trade has been huge. Short term, no current divergence. USD CAD, Not a lot to see, really. We've got a double bottom, which is broken up with a target at a retest of the February high at 1.4793. Is that going to make target? We shall see. Kind of looks like a bull flag, though. Australian dollar, no current divergence. NZ, no current divergence. NZ, not quite sure what's happening. Australian dollar, this kind of looks like a bear flag. It's not oversized yet, but it's thinking about it. This could be an alternate head and shoulders for me. I'm keeping an open mind. All right, let's have a look at bonds. Now, bonds on ZB, this is kicking around near the lows, and I think this is probably a bear flag forming, and I think the same is likely true on ZN. We've still got a pretty decent looking uptrend here. If you look at the weekly chart on TYX, we've already made the target there, but this was a sort of triangular looking wedge. But actually, looking at TNX, we had an actual triangle which is broken up with the target at a retest of 49.97. On TLT, we've got a triangle that's broken down with a target in the 73.10 area, and FVX, which is, of course is the 5-year yield, has broken up with the target in the 49.88 area. This is looking pretty good for a continued trend of bonds going down and yields going up. In the shorter term, we've still got, I think, an RSI 5 sell signal fixed here on the 10-year yield, but we did have a series of signals, and we've no longer got a series of signals. The TNX signal failed, and the TLT target one made the possible near miss target. So we're down from 3 signals just to 1. The obvious move down here is TLT to go down, so I'm really leaning towards continuation to the downside soon. All right, let's have a look at oil. Now, oil, this is broken up, and I think it's a pretty good argument. This is bull flag, and it's broken up towards a retest of this high here, which would be in about 95.5 area. And looking at CL, again, I think there's a pretty good argument to go back up and retest the prior high. HO, I would note that we've got a 60-minute sell signal fixed, and it has been, the oils have been kind of weak today. RBOB, this looks like a bullish consolidation at the moment. NG, this is trying to break up from a double bottom with a target in the 2.96 to 3.01 area, and I think that's got a shot, and is supported, I think, by a buy signal on the NG daily. But let's have a look at that now. All right, let's have a look at Brent first. Now, Brent, this actually makes a pretty decent looking flag. Now, it could be evolving into a larger flag or something, but in the meantime, that's looking pretty good. Let's have a look at that on the bigger picture here. And here, I am wondering whether, one, we might be heading back up to retest the high, and I'm also wondering whether we're going to might see an ABC or 1, 2, 3, where if the C equaled A, that would actually get us up on Brent to about 110 area, and on WTIC up into about the 100 area. So I'm definitely wondering about that. We will see how that goes. What is encouraging, bear with me a second. All right, what is encouraging is we've broken back over the daily middle band, but obviously it would be nice if it continued to hold it. This was a breakover. We've seen 2 days over it. Right now, it's testing it again. So obviously, if we are going to see some more upside, it would be very nice if that held as support, because generally speaking, in a trend, this tends to be pretty good support or resistance in a downtrend. So in an uptrend, I was a little surprised to see that break last week and disappointed. I was glad to see it break back above it, and now I'm a little concerned. So let's have a look at that on the WTIC chart, and you can see that we're on the daily middle band and testing it right now. I would very much like that to hold. If we break back below it, that brings some uncertainty in for a few days. It would be nice to see that hold the support. All right, in terms of HO, we have actually got an RSI 14 sell signal fixed here, and that hasn't reached the possible near miss target yet. We're getting pretty close to the highs on gas oil. We have come up quite a bit, but obviously significantly lower. This went significantly lower relative to this low here in July than the others. It was the only one which actually made a lower low. So it's having a slower move up. Are there going to be shortages soon? It's a good question. I mean, it does appear that OPEC have been underreporting reserves for years, which does explain how reserves have managed to last as long as they are. Obviously, the news is the usual complete load of rubbish. Trump is saying that US totally dominates the Strait of Hormuz, and Iran's lost, and blah 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 blah. The Iranians, and he says that they're negotiating with the Iranians, but they're just lying about not negotiating with them. The Iranians are being very, very clear they're not negotiating with them. So, who can say absolutely for sure? But what is absolutely clear is that stocks are falling. And while there may have been more than there is initially believed to be, nonetheless they are falling. Sooner or later, that's going to cause a problem. And actually, even if the Strait of Hormuz reopens, that doesn't mean that everything's going to get straight back to normal. There's going to be follow-on disruptions going on for quite a while. Now, oil, the price is likely to stay elevated for quite a while. So we'll see how that develops. Does it look as though any crisis is imminent? Got to go with no. So not seeing much evidence for that at all at the moment. All right, precious metals. We've got a buy signal fixed on the daily gold chart, and we have a breakup from this large double bottom that we've been watching for ages. And we've also got the main bull flag on gold has broken up the bull flag channel. This is very encouraging for the upside. Doesn't mean we're going to see that at once, but I'm expecting to see more. SI, we've broken up from a double bottom with a target in the 71.25 to 72.50 area. Both of these are broken up from flags, which, well, the gold one's a flag, but the silver one's probably too large to be a flag. But certainly they're bullish, and the gold one is looking for a retest of the all-time high. On palladium, we have another double bottom, and that's also broken up, in this case with 1572, 1610 range. The gold one has broken up with a target in the 48.35 to 49.25 range. And this is all very, very encouraging. Platinum, we're not really seeing a reversal pattern here yet, but we could form one. And I've got a possible inverse head and shoulder neckline up here in about the 1850 area. HG, kind of leaning towards this being a high. This doesn't look as though it retested this high quite, but on the spot chart, it more than retested it. We formed a larger double top. The original double top had failed, and we will see how it goes from here. But I'm quite liking the downside. All right, let's have a look at those on the bigger picture charts. All right, gold. That's the buy signal that's fixed and has now reached the possible near miss target. But we've now broken up from the double bottom. That's encouraging. Big item I'm watching here will actually be the 200 DMA. I've got that at 48.87, and it will be a significant break to break and convert that to support. You can see how this was acting as support here, and acting as support here, and acting as resistance here. That's the big level I'm going to be looking out for. All right, looking at silver. Silver's broken up from a double bottom and looking pretty good. We have a larger potential double bottom, possibly a little too large, or possible iron chest neckline. On palladium, nice break up. I haven't marked in the double bottom here, but obviously we've broken up from that too. Platinum, not seeing an obvious reversal pattern here, but we have broken up from the falling wedge, which this is a nice falling wedge on platinum. We've got another one on palladium, we've got another one on silver, and we had a bull flag channel on gold. All of them are broken up. All right, looking at copper. Copper, you can see we retested the high here. We formed a larger double top, and I'm quite liking the downside. GDX has actually broken up from the first double bottom, has now broken up from the second, with a target up here in about the 112 to 114 area, I think. Looking at GDXJ, we've again broken up from initial double bottom, made target, and we've broken up from the larger double bottom with a target considerably higher. This target is in the, where would that be? All right, that would be about the 1142 to 1145 area. So watching those with interest, but not seeing anything to suggest that they won't make target. All right, let's have a look at the other commodities. KC. Looks like it's breaking up towards a retest of this high. SB has already gone significantly higher. We've got a 6-minute sell signal fixed, and we are seeing a bit of a retracement here. On CC, looks like a bullish consolidation before we go back up and retest this high here. Lumber, This is a bullish, a consolidation before this likely goes lower, and I'm hoping to see a test and a break of the main rising support trend line, which I'll show you on the RTH chart. On CT, we have continued higher here, but actually on the futures chart, we haven't retested this high yet, and so I'm still expecting that to come. ZW, we've got a nice looking double bottom here. It hasn't broken up yet, but it is nice. Corn, we have broken up from the double bottom. That's got a target at a retest of 491.75 here. ZS, we are breaking up from a double bottom here with a target 1204 area. It may be that we're starting to form a larger inverted head and shoulders. So watching that with interest, we will see. Or it could be, given that this was such a rapid spike, that this actually is a fake spike, which we do see on these charts sometimes. So maybe we haven't broken up from this yet, but either way, it still looks encouraging. All of them look encouraging for the upside. ZL, still expecting the next big target to be a retest of this high here. Live cattle, double bottom is not going anywhere at the moment with a target 231.6 area. Bigger picture, we've still got a very nice looking target down in the 204.45 area, and the sell signal has made target, but I'm liking the downside here. HE, we have an IHS breakup here. It failed with a target at a retest of this low, and I think that's probably going to be the next big target there. 6-minute buy signal has reached possible near miss target. All right, let's have a look at this on the bigger picture. On coffee, this looks like a bullish consolidation. Retest this high and form a double top, or retest this high and go higher. Mainly leaning towards those two options. Sugar, we've broken up with force from the falling wedge, and we've reached a possible IHS neckline. I'm wondering if we might reverse and form a right shoulder here, and it looks like we might be getting a start on that. So ideally, the right shoulder low would be in about the 1544 area, so down here, not a great deal further. Smaller picture chart, daily chart here, we don't have any daily negative divergence. Retest the high and fail, and obviously that would change. Cocoa, still liking this as a resistance level, so I'm not convinced it's going to get over it. But I am expecting to see probably a retest of this high. Daily chart, no current divergence. Looking at lumber. We've got this lovely bear setup, which has basically not been delivering for ages. In fact, we had it was backed up. We've got the lovely bear flag, and we've got a double top which broke down almost a year ago, and then we've sort of been drifting up most of this year. I would really like to see a break below this rising support trend line, currently in the 530 area. And if we do that, then I've got a very nice looking target in the 352 area. So we shall see. We did have an RSI 14 sell signal fixed. That has now made target. No current positive divergence. Looking at cotton. Cotton hasn't quite retested this high yet, so the futures chart's a bit misleading. Liking the upside though on wheat. We've got an RSI 5 buy signal fixed, so I'm liking the upside there too. On corn, no current divergence, but I'm liking that. We haven't reached the double bottom here. The wheat has already broken up from it, but I'm liking the setup. Soybeans, possible IHS has been forming here for quite a while. Has broken up slightly and could be failing, but my lean would be on all of these. They've probably got more distance to go on the upside because of fertilizer shortages. All right, great. Let's have a look at crypto. And crypto. All right, bear with me a second. All right, got it. Okay, crypto. On Bitcoin, we've been seeing a flat to down week. I think we might have broken down below we've broken down slightly below the daily middle band now. That's actually kind of important because this is a two-way scenario here. We're either forming, I think, the obvious two patterns form here are either an inverted head shoulders where we're working on the right shoulder, or a head and shoulders where we're working on the right shoulder. The smaller head and shoulders would take us back down pretty close to a retest of the lows. The inverted head and shoulders would take us up into about the 76,500 area. And I'm leaning towards the short side. On the Solana chart, actually pretty flat on the week, outperforming Bitcoin at the moment. On the daily chart, that means it's above the daily middle band. And here, I'm a little concerned about not breaking below this trend line here, and we don't have an obvious reversal pattern here to break down from. We do have a possible flag here, which I'm certainly giving some thought. This could take us up into a retest of this high here at 83.89. Looking at Ethereum, Ethereum has been slightly down on the week. On the daily chart, we've got daily middle band at 1892, so we are very slightly below it, but effectively on it right now. On the bigger picture, I really like the downside here. I am wondering if we might see a retest of 1978.71, set up a little level top before this goes down. But as long as this pattern holds, the next obvious target is down in the 1500 area, and I would like to see that come up. If that could happen while stocks are retracing, there would be couple of last comments I've got on stocks here. If we retest these highs, then we could set up a series of small double tops. In terms of the bigger picture, we're very, very close to resistance here, and as soon as we retest this high, we're going to get an RSI5, full RSI5 sell signal break. And the same with the Qs. And same with Dia. And we've already got one brewing on IWM. You could see a pretty nice looking topping setup here. On Dia, I've got us at trendline resistance, having hit trendline resistance now, with it of course leading on the way up. SPX is pretty damn close. Qs, I'd only really be looking for a retest potentially of the all-time high anyway. So if we saw that, could set up a very large and very nice double top. I'm wondering here. The news is rubbish. Even the good news last week was that the economy was so crap that interest rates were less likely to go up soon. That's not actually great news. We've got a nice looking double top here on IWM. I'm watching this with interest. However, I do think that the pattern setup here is suggesting that the next move is that those highs get retested. Not necessarily the Qs one, it's got further to go, but certainly on SPX, probably on Dia. And of course, we've already done it on IWM. So I'm wondering what might happen and what we might see as and when that does happen. All right, great. In that case, I think that's a wrap. Everyone take care. I'll catch you guys again on Sunday. Cheers.